back to the Jeff Fox Show, and I told you guys about my friends down at the Shadow League, home of a lot of talent, man, that you guys have got to find out about. One of them I've been talking about on the show for a few days now, and that's my man Ricardo A Hazell. It's Hazell, correct?
It's Hazell, but yeah,
Hazell.
Hazell's cool too, man. Yes.
I should have asked you that before, but there I go, jumping the gun, but that's typical Jeff Fox fashion. But yeah, my man Ricardo A Hazell, correct? Or Hazell?
Yes.
Hazell.
Yes.
Okay, I love that. And, of course, he wrote the column on the internet the other day, Dr. Ben Carson, and his column can be found on the shadowleague.com. Ben Carson is a dangerous contradiction. And this is an interesting cat, man. We've been having some really emotional reactions from people here on the show, Ricardo. And
yes,
I wanted to bring you on, man, because I love the column. I love the work that you do over there at the Shadow League. Tell me what prompted you. Of course, I know that it was the reaction from social media, a lot of it. But your column goes deeper than that.
Well, with the column, of course, I had to address, what was going on with Ben Carson. Now, a lot of people don't recall that Ben Carson is a gentleman whose fame comes from him being a great neurosurgeon. I mean, the man is like a mutant as far as neurosurgery is concerned. However, that particular type of genius does not necessarily play out as we can see to the rest of the world. I mean, it's neurosurgery, and
right.
now, he, with his books, he either authored or was the subject of 6 books, and in those books, it was always the message about bootstrap, sort of philosophy, sort of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Nobody's holding you back, yada, 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 And a lot of black people applauded that. A lot of black people applauded that no one is holding you back, even though there's a 13th Amendment that was set up to make many of our sons and daughters slaves. Again, before even, we were out of the shadow of being in the antebellum South on the plantation. Right after Reconstruction is when the accelerated imprisonment and basic re-enslavement of many of our great grandfathers and grandmothers, contemporaries. You know what I mean? And
right.
And that's playing out through history now. So when I hear people say things like that, that always raises a red flag for me. So I was never really on the bandwagon with him, but it's amazing to note that Ben Carson has been in Ebony Magazine. He has been on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and every Black History Month, you hear at least one person mention him because of his expertise as a neurosurgeon. Now, this has, with the black community, and this goes into many disciplines, whenever we find someone who is exceptional at a particular discipline, be it a sport, be it in business, all of a sudden we thrust the mantle upon that person to be a mouthpiece for us. And in doing so, we give him sort of leadership, because people go to him. He was their go-to guy for black issues. And it was one of those situations where, he's just not qualified. That's not his thing. But,
right. He's a brain surgeon.
He's a brain surgeon, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is great, but he's not a very bright brain surgeon. Which is, maybe he should have operated on himself. But, but you see this sort of thing play out a lot in a lot of places where, especially now in the age of social media, where a celebrity can just jump online and say whatever, and it'll go viral, and it'll be half-cocked and half-baked. But because this celebrity is cool, and this celebrity puts out a certain image as being this way or that way, their supporters, retweet it and second that motion and like it and so on and so forth, thus making this person a leadership figurehead. Now, it's only figuratively at the point where we're like sharing this person's opinions and looking at this person as they're some sort of oracle of wisdom. However, as what happened with Dr. Carson, over the course of time, white people start to notice. And then they start asking you, hey, what's your take on family rights, or what's your take on this, and what's your take on that? And oftentimes what you'll find with a lot of black celebrities is that their takes on things are more in line with conservative views. And that's not necessarily a take on a knock on all conservative views. However, when it comes to social activism and black people, they get it. Is there something beyond an F that I can give them for failure? Like, could I give them like a L or something?
I'm telling you.
Because, I mean, when it comes to black people, they're ambiguous. They act so ambiguous as to what's going on. It's like, when you get into an argument with your lady and then you come home and she's mad, you be like, what's the problem? She's like, you're the problem. You know what I mean? And it's with similar situations like, what's you guys' problem? You're my problem. You know what I mean? You're stepping on my neck. You're supporting these people who are demagogues. You're voting these people into office, and and they're passing these laws that are affecting me in my neighborhoods. You're my problem.
Has Dr. Carson's success in his chosen field led to some sort of a disconnection between himself and the black community by the masses? Is he just that disconnected that he doesn't quite get it? Because that seems to be what a lot of people feel when they mention the name Ben Carson.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that he was ever. I don't know that he ever got it. You know what I mean? I don't know that he ever fully got it. I mean, again, being a genius in one discipline doesn't necessarily mean that you have an inkling of what you're talking about in anything else. So I take his immigration comment. He grew up in Detroit, which is the blackest urban center in the United States. And he also grew up partially in Boston, which is a town founded largely which is a town that is occupied largely by the descendants of actual Irish immigrants. So you're telling me that you were in Detroit around all that beautiful blackness, and then around all that, all that black history of Motown and all just the beautiful, positive black richness of black culture in Detroit. You're around all that, and you didn't realize that there was a difference between immigrants and the descendants of slaves as far as, their social strata in this country and why slaves aren't immigrants. I mean, the basic thing is that we didn't have a choice. Our ancestors didn't have a choice. They were dragged here against their will, whereas immigrants chose to come. So that right there is just like, wow, But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't think the term. Actually, I think the comparison that a lot of people have been making as well between the field Negro and the house Negro. I noticed that you put the video with Malcolm X in your column, which really hit home with me because my dad made me read that book as a kid growing up. So I kind of get it when it comes to the whole master we sick, the slave that would hope that the master does die compared to the one who would give his own life to save his master. And I'll be honest with you, man, just looking at it from the outside, it appears that it is a comparison or, something that I can actually see why people would make such a comparison when you look at somebody like that.
Yes, I absolutely understand how someone could make, particularly a black person, it better be a black person because white people are unqualified to say who's a house Negro and who's not.
Right.
Number one. Number two, I understand the comparison, and I would have made the comparison in the past, except that, and as I had mentioned in the piece, the house Negro, even though he was hated by the field Negro, even though he lorded over the field Negro and was the weapon used against him by the slave masters, he was still trapped in a particular paradigm. And I would gather to say that many, I can't say most, but many would have, given the choice, much rather been free than have to wake up and have somebody, charge or trace your steps, your whole life, basically. So that's number one. Number two. Now, in the instance of Mr. Carson, I said that he's not because I know that he plays stupid. I think that he plays possum. He plays dumb like he doesn't know. And I know damn well that he knows that that black slaves weren't immigrants. I know he knows that. However, he's playing to a broader issue. And that issue, which has been played by liberals and conservatives, is they're trying to make black people believe that they have the same opportunities as white people. So they try to blend, oh, you're immigrants too. You came here at the same time. Well, the Irish pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and look at them now. Well, look at the Jew. This is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like prosperity gospel. You know what I mean? You don't have anything to worry about. You have all you need. You know what I mean? It's like the secret. Oh, all your problems are all in your head. Bull. Straight bull.
It's not a level playing field.
It's not. So it's all a part of the greater message that's come from society, from American society, not just from conservatives, I might add, but from liberals. As a matter of fact, Vlad TV just found a video from last year, and I remember this video, where Barack Obama refers to the descendants of slaves as immigrants. So, again, this is a double-sided sword that we're dealing with. When we start thinking that the liberals are kinder, but they're just as deadly as far as voting in these demagogues and voting against the interests of their black constituents as anybody. You know what I mean? When blacks are dealing with American society, it is a double-edged sword. And actually, I think that the liberals are more dangerous than the conservatives because at least with conservatives, you know the racism's coming. Right. With the nice liberals, they lull you to sleep with that song. And don't that song sound so sweet because it is a sound that we have been longing to hear. It is a sound of it's okay to be black. It's okay to be you. We understand your pain. We're going to help you. But that's double talk because out the other side of their net, they're making millions with the conservatives, keeping us in our place. It's deep. It's deep.
Powerful
so
stuff.
That's why.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
Powerful stuff from Ricardo A Hazell. You can follow him on Twitter at Nico's Mighty Dad. I think you are a brilliant writer, sir. I just love the way you articulate a lot of your points here, and reading your columns, man. Your vocabulary is quite extensive.
Man, you know where I got that from? Reading comics. Reading comic books as a kid. That's where I got that from. Reading comic books. Really?
I was a comic book geek myself. I had thousands of them. thousands of them. Man.
Yeah.
I loved reading. Loved reading.
Yeah,
Read Hardy
man.
Boys. Nancy
Always
Drew.
loved reading, and you're in the and you're in the media now. See, you see what that leads to. You know what I mean? The communicating ideas is something that Black people do. You know what I mean? We're some of the greatest speakers in the history of the world. As far as look at Obama as a speaker. Of course, MLK was a great speaker. Malcolm X was a great speaker. Jesse Jackson, whether you like him or not, is a world-class orator. You know what I mean? We communicate. So where all this idea that Black people are dumb and we can't articulate come from? You already know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've gotten that.
Gave me on to something else, but go ahead.
Yeah, but the truth is, I've gotten from a lot of my friends. When people tell you as a Black man, you talk white. What the hell is that? What is that supposed to mean? That we talk white?
What is it?
I've gotten that a lot. I'm originally from the Bahamas. I've gotten that from people here. Once I came to the country, I've got a mixed accent, I guess. But what is talking white? Why do Blacks say that to each other?
I think that is a self-esteem issue. I believe that oftentimes when we project, oftentimes when we comment on someone else's mannerisms regarding their actions, whether they act white or Black or whatever, it is an indication of how we actually feel about ourselves and our own intelligence and our own ability to communicate and to survive in this world, like it or not. Being able to survive in this world as a Black man means being in two worlds. Being able to communicate with white people for that guapa, for that bread, and being able to communicate in your hood, being able to communicate with your people. I feel like I speak two dialects. I live in the South Bronx. When I go outside and speak to people, it's not going to be in the same manner that I'm speaking to you, and it's not because I'm afraid or because I'm fronting or anything like that. It's just in my head, it automatically clicks. Whoever I'm speaking to, that's going to be the dialect that I speak in. But I noticed that two dialects were necessary, actually, for my mother. When she would be cursing us out as a little kid, and the phone would ring, and she'd be like, "Hello, yes," and start speaking in her white lady voice, So I say, then she hang up the phone and start cussing us out again. Yeah. So that's when I said, "Oh, yeah." But so yeah, that's about, bro.
We're speaking again with Ricardo A Hazell. Of course, some of your columns, and I instantly became a fan. The one you did on Denzal Washington, I thought was so on point as well. How he's been overlooked, despite the fact that this man is glorified in Hollywood, and some of his best work he does not get rewarded for, and unfortunate for him. But how does that happen to somebody like Denzal?
Well, it happens because Hollywood, unfortunately, historically, is very racist, and even today, when it's talking about diversity, but the vast majority of the voters for the Academy Awards are white males, just like the vast majority of the voters for the Grammy Awards are white males. You know what I mean? So these are the people. So you can go ahead and you can act like you understand and you can dig something and that you relate to it, but you basically the roles, you can tell their prejudices by the roles that he won for and the roles that he didn't win for. Okay, so you go ahead back to Glory. Great role, great movie. He played that, deserved that Best Supporting Oscar, right? But he got nominated before that as Stephen Biko in Cry Freedom.
Which was an excellent role as well.
Which was an excellent movie.
Yeah.
Freedom Fighter, right? Got nominated, didn't get elected. Didn't win. Okay. Boom. Malcolm X, to date, that was a home run.
That was perfection.
That was a home run movie.
Yeah.
Direction, cinematography, acting, and Denzal was at his level best. Lost. So, but then you look at what he won for. Again, he won for glory, and then you fast forward through time, and he won for Training Day. So, a soldier slave and a crooked cop.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you won for. Lost for a freedom fighter and Cry Freedom. Lost for Malcolm X, our black shining prince. Lost for Fences, which could have been any of us, any of our granddad. How many times did your male father figure tell you, maybe not directly, but indirectly, look what I'm doing for you. I don't have to like you. Huh?
Yeah.
I ain't gotta like
love,
you.
they call it.
I'm trying to make you ready for this world. And so I felt that was a very enduring message as an African American male. However, when white male voters voting for these awards, they're voting their own prejudices into them and voting for and against whatever. I mean, I really can't expect for a white dude to feel this. I really can't. Offenses, they can feel it, but they can't feel it. Like they can feel Earth, Wind, and Fire, but they can't feel Earth, Wind. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that plays into it as well. And so I don't think that it is necessarily nefarious, although there are nefarious instances in my book where he was just totally robbed. But I don't think the last one was nefarious or there was some grand conspiracy for him not to win the Academy Award. I just don't think that it's on a higher vibration. They recognized it for being a great work, but it was on a higher vibration.
Right.
Do
you feel
perfect? Oh, go ahead.
Do you feel that because of the hashtag Oscar So White a couple of years ago that Hollywood has made a concerted effort now to make up for that? I got that feeling watching the Oscars. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've read on the Oscar So White situation, and in black media, we're all over it, and so I've written on that extensively, and even last year, I had mentioned, pardon me, this was regarding actually the Golden Globes, because the Golden Globes actually were more advanced than the Academy Awards as far as recognizing and rewarding black works. And in comparison, they were not as advanced. So it was the Oscar So White, and it was also, looking at the Golden Globes, who didn't need to be as prodded or pushed to do it. They seemed more willing to do it. They saw the vacuum that was left by the Academy Awards. Keep voting in these white, these Academy Award voters voting in the white mindset. You can only see what you can see. You know what I mean? If you can't, if you're not on that vibration, you're not on that vibration. Meanwhile, I think that black folks are in a unique position to see dualistically, because when you're raised in this country, you're taught everything from their perspective first. It's later on that you begin to see, hey, none of this is not necessarily the perspective that I should be looking in. I'm going to recognize this perspective because I'm going to have to operate in it when I go out into the world. But I know this is like the Matrix, and I'm over here in the real world as a black man dealing with what I have to deal with. But I don't think that I'm not going to say this universally, but I think it is a rarity, and white folks are able to look at the world in that dual manner. I mean, they have to have grown up in the hood, lost their daddy to jail, brother got shot, mama got a black boyfriend for like 25. You have to be in it to be able to discern what we're going through. all of that. Oh, well, I started listening to hip hop in college, and I married a black girl. No, not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to.
That's kind of like hearing. I go to gym with a black guy.
Yeah.
I got
not good
friends.
enough. Unless you was out there with us in the street when we was throwing bottles and acting crazy as little kids in the playground, falling off the jungle gym and all that, you're not gonna get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to have been in it. Whereas we are born in it as a numeric minority in this society, we have to see it their way first because it's everywhere. It's in the history books. It's on TV. You know, I don't know how old you are, but I recall a time when it was rare to see one new black show premiere on TV per season.
Yeah, I think we had good times in the Jeffersons. That was it, right?
5. Yeah, we had good times in Jeffersons. Different Strokes for a long time. Yeah. And then it was the Cosby Show and all that. But for a long time, we were watching shows that went off the air in like 82, 83 for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then when Cosby came, that was one more. And then 3 years after Cosby, he brought us Different World. Then there was another one. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until like Living Single and Martin and all that it really kicked off. You know what I mean? It really kicked off then. And then now you come up to date and you see us now. So I said that to say is back when we were kids, seeing black people on TV was a treat. Yeah. It was a treat. Now it's just an everyday thing.
Definitely.
And so seeing yourself on TV, seeing yourself on TV every day really affects your worldview and how you see yourself in the world. So media, yes, definitely. Media matters,
and that's why I feel like people like yourself are so important to the young minds that read, and I get excited when I come across another black mind that gets it. And when I say that gets it, I hope you know what I mean. That truly gets it. That realizes.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, the playing field that we're on, and this is, and not only in Hollywood, not only in politics, but also in sports. I think every facet of life in America, there's a racial tone to it somewhere, and I don't think I'm delusional in thinking that.
No, you're not. It's like we got that, the spider sense,
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to be so smooth. I didn't agree with all of Obama's policies, and as a matter of fact, I was diametrically opposed to many. But one thing that I have to admire, he was smooth. You have to be. Every black guy has to be cool. You got to be cool. You got to be collected, and it's a survival thing because if they see that it's getting to you, they will devour you, and you be out there underneath a bridge or the freeway eating out a cold can of dog food because you done lost your mind. So you gotta be cool. You gotta be cool, and especially when you're delving into things that are to be truths, but are constantly and repeatedly downplayed by the mainstream, and have been constantly downplayed by the black president. He downplayed a lot of things that were very important to me. He too was espousing a pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. He too was saying stuff like that. So before we completely throw Ben Carson under the bus, which I've actually already done, but President Obama, who I personally liked and voted for twice, but was a staunch critic of, also was saying some things that I felt were against the overall interests of black people.
Yeah, I thought President Obama, Ricardo, was in a very, very difficult position.
Tough place.
Yeah, it was almost like a no-win situation for him because no matter which direction he chose to focus on, he was going to get criticized for it. Either way, I thought he did a remarkable job. You look at his hair; it went from black to gray in no time. I don't envy that, brother.
Some people are going to look at me sideways when I say this. But I like Everybody has somebody who goes hard for us. I mean, hard for them. The people who go hard for us end up dead. I wanted somebody who went hard in the paint with like Moses Malone in 1984, like hard in the paint for us. And he didn't. He didn't. He kind of Duranted it. You know what I mean? He danced. He was pretty with it. Shot the J from deep. The crossover looked good. He was pretty with it. But I wanted somebody down there banging for us. And he wasn't banging at all. He shied away from contact when it came to black people. And I didn't like that. It hurt my feelings, to be perfectly honest. But I can't
totally
doubt
understand.
that. I mean, I can't say that he wasn't a great president. He was a great president. But did he go hard in the paint for black people? No.
Yeah. Very, very difficult position to be in. There's so many places I'd love to go with you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, my man, Ricardo A Hazell. I would love to do this again because, again, tell my listeners, where can we find your work, or is it just primarily of the Shadow League?
You can find it primarily at theshadowleague.com. You can also find some of my stuff at Huffington Post, Black Voices, or you can go on YouTube and look at some of my videos. I have a channel, Ricardo A Hazell. Man, I'm all over the interwebs, as the old folks say. And you can also hit me up at Twitter, Nico's Mighty Dad, or on Instagram at Rick Ryder. That's WRITER Renegade. Rick Ryder Renegade.
There you have it, Ricardo Hazell, right here on the Jeff Fox Show. So, my brother, we got to do this again, man. There's so much stuff I wanted to talk to you about, Kaepernick, Oakley, but I mean, I just love talking to you, man. We're going to do this again real soon. I thank you for stopping by the Jeff Fox Show.
No doubt. It was my pleasure, Jeff.